Welcome to another Dreamweaver tutorial. I'm going to teach you how to create floating objects using CSS rules. So in this case we're going to create a floating navigation bar. So where all our buttons go, just say our page has a lot of content and we need to scroll. Now our nav bar will move as the user scrolls. So let's create something to float. So insert, table, make it 800 pixels wide, make it 1 row and 3 columns. Press OK. Now to allow an object to float on its own, we need to put it within a division. To do that you need to go to Code View or Split View, and you'll see here your table is here in this green text in the body tags. Press Enter and make a new tag. Write the word div. Okay, that's short for division. And underneath the closing of the table tag, we're going to close our div. Okay, so now we've got a div that is containing our table. Okay, go back to your design view, you can see it here. There's dotted lines around it. There's our div in blue once we've got it selected. Okay, now clicking on our table, try and get the very edge of it so you can select the table itself. We're going to center it. And now we're going to create the rule that allows it to float as the page scrolls. Okay, and that is under CSS. Create a new CSS rule here on the side. And we're going to call this one float nav. Press OK. And now this is where we add our settings. Go down to positioning and choose fixed. Okay, that'll allow it to stay in the same spot. We should probably create a height and width for our object as well, so we're going to go width. If we want our nav bar to resize itself automatically as the user makes the window bigger, we put in a percentage here for width. So I'm going to write 100 and change this to percentage. But if you want it to be a fixed size that doesn't change, even if the user moves the window and makes it bigger or smaller, then make it a specific amount of pixels. Height wise, I'm going to make that 30 pixels high, so that's how big my navigation area is going to be. And this is where you choose where you want it. So if you want it to be always stuck to the left hand side, then you'd position it on the left. But we want it to float on the top. So I'm going to go 0 pixels from the top. Okay, that means there'll be 0 pixels gap between the object and the top of my page. Press apply, press OK. Now we have a rule, and we can see it if we go to Code View. Here's our rule, and it's called float nav, and it's in pink, and it is now in the heading area under the style tag. Okay, now great rule. Hasn't been applied to anything yet. So if we go back to design, click on our div would be a better option. Click on our div, and then down here it says class. I want you to apply float nav, because that's the rule we just made. Okay, now it has been applied, but of course we can't see it work because we've got no content. So time to make something. I'm going to write home, about, links. Okay, so that's my make-believe navigation right there. I'm just going to put it in the center. And now we need to add some content to the back of this page so that we can see what it looks like when it scrolls. So just pressing enter, type in some numbers or letters or whatever, just randomly, so you can see how it works. That'll do. So we just need to be able to scroll past something. Now go File, Save As, call it Float Test or something. I'm going to go with Float Test, just save it to your desktop for now. Okay, and using F12, time to scroll this thing. And I didn't quite add enough things, but as you can see here, as I scroll, my navigation stays in the same place up here. Okay, so that's using the float rule. Now we can add more things to this. For example, if we go back to our split view, and up here, if we decide we want to add a solid color to this, I'm going to go with a gray color, so I'm going to go background color. This one here, and I'm going to add, I'm just going to choose this light blue, like green. That'll do for now. It's pretty ugly, but oh well. and you can see it there. Now if we press F12, save our changes, have a look, you can see up here there's our floating navigation, and it is fitting up the top here. And when we resize our window, you'll notice that the solid color moves with it. Now you might also notice that there's a tiny little gap here on the left. Okay, we can fix that easily with our rule as well. If we come back to our code in split view, we can add another setting up here. So I like to put them next to each other, so I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to write left 0 pixels. Okay, and that's going to force it to be 0 pixels from left, so it should be butted up right up against it. Save that, preview it, and you'll notice my color is now perfectly in line with my window. Okay, so let's say you can create a fixed scrolling navigation bar. If I wanted to, I could, instead of putting it at the top, I could put it at the bottom. Save that, have a look. Now it's going to stay at the bottom of my window the whole time. Okay, and will automatically adjust based on, because it's set on 100%. Okay, a more practical example of how you could do this is seen here. If you were to create a div around your title and your navigation buttons on your page, make sure you leave a bit of a space here, because this is going to be behind this floating object at the start, and some more text here. If we previewed this, you'd see that our navigation bar stays up the top, and as we scroll, it hides the content above it, but our navigation is still accessible as we scroll. Okay, so that's an idea that you could work with. Okay, so thanks for using this tutorial. Hopefully it's been beneficial.